Awaken the magic body with number 2. Here we are on the show.
I think you screamed too hard, Clive. Yeah, cut off. Anyway.
Anyway, yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Magic Morning Wood, and Ron hasn't had a major facelift. Well, he might have done, but he's not here because he's busy with life things. So, Robin Fwenchwowl has kindly offered to step in. Thank you very much for stepping in, Robin Fwenchwowl. How are you?
That's good. That's good. I'm in the unfamiliar territory of the Magic Morning Wood. I don't care.
You have been on before, though. You have been on before. I have.
Oh.
I'm on it every time. But you have.
Oh, I mean, you've had me on before, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We talked. You did subbing duties before. When we did ID.
Oh, was that Magic Morning Wood?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
This is a good thing about my memory. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember now.
Good.
Anyway.
So anyway, we're off to a rip roaring.
Yeah, we're doing well already.
So I thought I'd use this opportunity to. So one of my favorite things in the world is sitting down to watch films with Mr. Fwenchwowl, but it's something we don't get to do often, obviously, because we live on different sides of the planet. We did it a bit in our teens, and that was fun, and I always enjoyed that. But alas, don't really have a time anymore. So this was a chance. Hey, let's get Robin to watch a couple of things I think he might enjoy. And recently on Day Release, the other show that we do, you've kind of been enjoying the hang on, there's a mini typhoon here. So
is there?
Yeah, it's not really get going properly. So just closing the window. Yeah, so you've been enjoying Donnie Yen, right? You've kind of caught up with you if I remember correctly, you dig his mixture of martial arts physique and quantity surveyor face.
Yes. Yeah, his although going back in time, he always did have a sort of face like that, didn't he? But yeah, I think as he's got older, I guess now, getting more familiar. I don't know where he's been all my life, really. I don't know where I missed him.
Yeah, you do seem to be quite taken to them. So I thought, well, okay, so let's go back and let's introduce you to his debut feature, actually.
Yeah.
And so this is Drunken Tai Chi.
Yep.
From 1994, Hong Kong picture. So was this a good choice in so much as you hadn't seen it before, right?
I'd never seen it. It was great film to watch. Enjoyed it very much. The end.
And then we went and bought ice cream and went home.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was very fresh faced. I don't know how old he is in this, but
well, he's pretty. What is he now? He's approaching 60, so he can't be much older than 21, 22, I think. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And already, incredible physical dexterity, right?
Yeah. So, do you do the plot on this one? I can't remember. Do you do the plot?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty easy in this case, right? It's So he seems to be he's the son of a guy who runs a salt factory. Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, Lee Kwan, and he's kind of friends with Yen Shun Yi, who plays like someone who works for his father. But
is that what I thought? They weren't friends. I thought they were actually brothers.
No, they say brother, but I think that's more of a.
Oh, I thought it was just that he was the older brother. The older brother gets all the shit work to have to do, and then he's the precious little younger brother who doesn't
Well,
have to
I
do
don't
anything.
think so. I mean, it could be, but I don't think so. No, I think. But anyway, for whatever reason, one of them is kind of
Doesn't matter.
pampered labor. No, and
Mm.
because you have you have BMXs in ancient China or some sort of period China. So and yes, so they basically they have a rivalry with some little cunt in the village, and they who tries to like fuck them up with fireworks and explosives and things, which they end up turning the tables on him, and they fuck him up quite badly. So his father, as played by Kung Fu Sir Don Wong Tao, doesn't get to do much action in this film. It's like a cameo appearance. He hires an assassin, Yan Shun Yi. He's a mute assassin, right?
Yeah.
With a little boy he cares for, and he's tasked with murdering.
Practically too, as well.
Yeah, he's for some reason Yan Shun Yi in this film reminded me a little bit of Andy Serkis. So they have an Andy Serkis looking about him here.
Yeah, gone deep, Jekyll as his character.
So he's tasked with murdering Donnie Yen's family, and he does. He kills his dad, and yeah, maybe it is his brother. Then you might be right, Tamara.
Well, he keep going on about it. Like,
yeah, right.
My family, anyway. Yeah.
And then yeah, and then there's a lot of kind of cases of mistaken identity and stuff, and then Yan Shunyi's character also thinks that Donnie Yen's kidnapped his son at some point, which he hasn't. But anyway, it's leading to a showdown, and in the meantime, Donnie Yen's kind of adopted by a puppeteer, as played by Yan Cheng Yan, and
his wife.
Lydia Shum, who's a very large lady, but who can do a lot of impressive acrobatic stuff.
Yeah.
She's kind of like a female Sammo Hung or something.
Yeah.
She's even bigger. And of course, it's a Kung Fu film, so of course, fat equals hilarious.
Yeah.
As does slightly mincing gay stereotypes as well. Hilarity abound. And so they kind of through teaching him how to make a quilt and puppetry, they kind of as these things usually go, kind of accidentally, in a roundabout way, teach him the skills necessary to.
Oh no! Come on, they definitely go about trying to teach him Tai Chi.
Right. Yes. Not drunken Tai Chi though. Despite
there's no drunken Tai Chi at all.
No.
Really, apparently, Yan Cheng Yan is drunk quite often. The puppeteer is often drunk. There's a bit where they're drunk together, but no, there's not an awful lot of.
Yeah, he's
got a style anyway.
He's in that tradition of like the drunken Sam the Seed type character, I guess. But no, there's no specific drunken Tai Chi style being taught.
What did you say, Sam the Seed? Is that with the big teeth, or is
Sam
that
the Seed? Sam the Seed is the character in the Drunken Master films who always goes around with the gourd, right, with the wine in it. And,
okay.
Yeah.
The big teeth thing is just because that is a thing, isn't it? But I don't know if it's not a name or anything.
No, I think big teeth. Once again, I think big teeth is just a guaranteed laugh getter, right?
Yeah. You can't fail.
If you're fat and got big teeth and mince about, then you're gonna bring the house down at every party.
Yeah, or you kind of maybe that's just frowned upon because you're trying too hard, you know.
Yeah, it cancels everything out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's
Yeah,
funny when he had the big teeth, but
yeah,
now it's fat and he minces.
yeah. So
Just need a
if
big one.
you're fat, gay with big teeth,
Mm,
sort it out. Choose a side.
yeah. And people will take you too seriously and they don't know how to kind of cope with you.
Yeah. So
Um,
apologies to all our obese homosexual viewers with
buck
dentist
tooth.
problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's basically, yeah, it's an excuse for lots of action, and yeah, like we said, BMX, including BMX action. There's even some robot dancing and break dancing at one point as
Great
well.
does, yeah. Do you know if Donnie Yen did the BMXing? I was curious about that. It was him, wasn't it? I
I
mean,
think
who
so,
else is
yeah.
going to do it?
No,
That's
yeah,
really good at that, isn't he?
yeah.
I know he's good at uh you know well, I read afterwards that he was, he's good at breakdancing,
Hmm.
but yeah, there was no mention of him doing the being really good at BMX. You're fucking really good. Like,
Yeah, that's clearly him on the bike, I think, right? As far as
hmm,
I can tell.
well, it's kind of like it's cut a little bit so that it could be someone else.
If
It
it
can
is
never
someone,
quite be his face, but
if I
as,
didn't have a chance to look this up, but if it was someone else, it was probably someone like Blackie Core or someone like that who was the main stunt and motorcycle. Blackie Core was he did stunts for loads of films. He's in loads of films, and I think he was also in real life. He was kind of like he was like the Chinese Evil Knievel.
hmm,
Like I think he tried to jump the Yellow River in like a jet car or something like that. Uh, might be him.
tried to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or,
As always is the case, right? I don't think they ever. Has anyone ever succeeded in doing any of those things?
no, I don't know.
I don't think so. I'm going to go to the moon on my skateboard.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Yeah. So, as directed by the great Yang Ping, with his Yang clan, all his brothers, including Yang Cheng Yan, doing a bit of a dry run for his kind of character for the Taoism drunkard. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Taoism drunkard movies, which are you'd enjoy them as well because they have an extra dose of like the super weird added to them as well, like
Hmm.
fantasy and gadgets and actually, yeah, maybe next time you do subbing on here, maybe we watch the Taoism drunkard films because I think you'd enjoy them a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's good.
yeah. So, So, well, we already know you thought it was good. So, yeah. So, was I correct in my assumption that this would be up Robin Fwenchwowl's alley?
I loved it. Um, yeah, I think notable for never seen a film in which a hand puppet beats the crap out of someone in, in such a convincing way as well. Not not in a yeah, just that was so good, that bit. Oh, I love that bit. Um, and also, yeah, I think because looking past the kind of the comedy, all the physical choreographed fighting comedy is actually funny as well,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah.
And the conceit of the fireworks, and they make that brattish rich kid
Mm.
think, oh well, they're never going to survive that, but it's a comedy, so fine, because everything's kind of Looney Tunes, isn't it? It's kind of
Yeah, yeah.
like,
People like emerge black with smoke coming off them, kind of.
yeah, even though they've been blown to pieces.
Yeah,
But so the way they sort of wrap that bratish kid in fireworks and then have a massive firework in his head, which would blow his brains out. And then, but there are actual consequences for that, and I quite enjoyed that. That then he's kind of I don't know what's happened to him, but he's kind of lost his mind, and that's
Yeah,
why when the film so there was an inciting incident, in that he loses his mind and their revenge wants to be got. Then,
yeah. It's not
but
afraid to go dark when it needs to, right?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's all fairly light-hearted, and yeah, no, like you said, as always with these things, you have to have a certain amount of. I will just forget about that character. Just you just yeah, don't worry about that. Like, just look beyond that, because there's a lot of on-screen mugging, and I often forget because I've got so acclimatized after watching, so many kung fu films at this point. I kind of forget that when I started watching these films, the comedy was a real tough point for me to get beyond, and now I'm so used to it, but I forget that sometimes it might be off-putting for some people if they're not used to it, right? Because it's kind of turned up to 11, right? And there's a certain just chuck shit at the wall and see what sticks kind of element.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind it. But it's you just kind of look around it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Enjoy the but it's funny that it's like a sort of classroom show off who doesn't realize that the physical comedy that they do, that they fall on the desk or whatever, is amazing. And just stop doing all your other jokes. And then they'll turn to the class and do, and now I'm a fat guy.
I particularly like the bit I remember from this film, from watching it before, because it kind of comes out of nowhere, is where Yen Shinyi's character suddenly chases Donnie Yen inside like an iron, it's like a hamster wheel thing.
Oh yeah.
Chasing him across a bridge.
Yeah.
I thought that bit was fantastic, because it
Yeah.
totally comes out of nowhere.
It had some real menace to it as well, that did.
Yeah, that thing looks dangerous, man. If that that would fuck you up if that landed on you.
Yeah, I mean, he as a character, I don't know. So if he has been in something I've watched, I wouldn't recognize him anyway. But you
Right.
probably would. But yeah, he is an interesting character in the kind of I don't know if that's just in the ultra tough vein. I've seen a few films like that, where he and I love the bit where he builds his son a rocking horse. We're using his forehead to hammer in the nails and
that's how we're introduced to his character, isn't it? That he's making this rocking horse for his kid. It's interesting that they did that as well, because obviously he's supposed to be he's the big bad who's defeated. I mean, spoilers at the end of it, but the thing is, then there's this child who's basically been made an orphan, right?
Which it's
and it's weird. I don't know if you watched this with the English dub on or not, or if you just watched it with subtitles.
No, I didn't know there was English dub available. I wouldn't have, but I mean, this could be quite amusing.
Yeah, I put the dub on this time because I don't think I'd seen it with the dub before, and it's fine. I mean, it's they do a pretty good. It's one of the better dubs that kind of matches the material. I think it's not jarring or anything. Or it doesn't seem ridiculous. It's very close to the subtitles, but yeah, like I thought the very, very, very end is a kind of odd, when he's on the swing with the little boy, and the little boy's like asking, "Oh, where's my dad?" And he says, "Oh, he's just a few steps away. Oh, so I could go there too." And then don't you falls off the slide. freeze.
Oh yeah,
I didn't quite understand that.
that
Really.
was like just seemed like they thought, oh well, we'll end it there.
Yeah, that'll do. We've had BMX,
You-
we've had hamster wheels, we've had fireworks. We've given the audience their money's worth.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
fuck off.
we're out of here, and we've got another film coming out in a few months anyway, which is even more bonkers than this one. So yeah, no, job's a good one, I think, with Drunken Tai. I think one of the things about it as well is it's a good example of so it's 1984, right? So at this time, the new wave's going on, and you've got like the really famous proponents are Jackie and Sammo, right, doing the new wave action and stuff. But I think it's worth mentioning the Yang clan as well in the same, because they've been around for a few years as well, just like Jackie and Sammo and them. But I think they're just as progressive in their like action choreography and stuff, right?
So is Donnie Yen actually related to them as well, or
No, I don't think so. No,
nothing
no.
to do with them? Okay.
So it's I think there's it's worth mentioning them in the same breath, right? Because they're in a different way, because this is more of an old school kung fu kind of plot. So it's not like Police Story or Project A or something like that. But in terms of utilizing new tricks and moving action choreography forward and stuff, I mean, this is pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, it's really mind-blowing, a lot of it. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many excellent, just so many excellent bits. I was thinking I'm going to watch it again with my son up. We'll see if he enjoys it as much, because my first kind of introduction to kung fu films was through my Chinese friend in primary school in London.
Oh, okay.
And we went to some strange center thing. I think it was like a Chinese center or something. And there were a bunch of kids watching kung fu films. That was, yeah. And other than sort of Bruce Lee and your sort of mainstream stuff, I'd never come across this kind of it's the kung fu films. It's really fast and
it's really the definition of an embarrassment of riches, really, right? Isn't it? I mean, there's so much stuff going on. You can go back and rewatch, and you're like, oh fuck, I never saw that before.
Yeah.
It's like some dude in the background doing something really dangerous looking, and I never noticed it before, because there's a guy in the foreground going or something. Like it's just madness, right? There's plenty going on. But no, this is a good one. I think it's a good because obviously Donnie Yen nowadays isn't making films like this, right? So it's quite nice to go back and see.
Yeah, well, we for day release, the film we watched was it Gods and Monsters?
We did Sakura and then
Gods and Monsters, yeah.
Gods and Monsters.
Wasn't it? It's not called Gods and Monsters. Sakura, Gods and Monsters. I thought it was extra. Okay, it's just Sakura then.
Demigods and Semi-Devils.
That's it. Okay, yeah.
But then before we watched Raging Fire as well, didn't we?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, in that you almost forget that. You could tell. Because he's still got the moves, but I don't know. Yeah, it's so enjoyable how everything is so well choreographed, and so when people get hit, they get hurt, but they keep filming. That sort of thing.
Yeah. And the precision as well, because the thing is, you don't notice when the stuff goes right, but if anything were to go wrong, then you're getting. There was like one bit in particular, one of the opening scenes with the BMX. There's like a bit where he jumps up on top of like a little like stone lantern thing,
So, yeah.
and then does the splits onto his shoulders. And I was like, fuck, if the other guy wasn't in the right place at the right time, I mean, so it's not just relying on your own skills, right? You have to, you know, if that guy wasn't in the right place, that could go very, very badly, right?
Yeah. It's impossible to comprehend most of the way through, like that. You know, because they did the choreography for Crouching Tiger and all that, and The Matrix.
Right.
So, you know, I guess, but then this is so much better.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, in terms of kind of, it must have been sort of like a walk in the park doing The Matrix compared to.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? It's weird. There's that trade-off I find when you're watching these old school films between you're like, ah, those were the days. That's the but then you realize, but you know, people are probably getting a bit more well paid and don't have to almost kill themselves for your entertainment anymore. So that's good.
It's like the old, it's like the old Hollywood stunts that were just, you can just watch them now and just be transfixed by, you know, the guy being dragged along by the train and you know, that sort of thing. He's actually doing it, or you know,
I suppose, I suppose it depends. It could always pop up again. I mean, there's still some you know, third world countries left where people may kill themselves. So we might see action popping up in somewhere.
Keep your eye out.
Yeah. So don't worry. We haven't run out of poor people yet, so we might have some good action cinema coming up. So that's about all I have. I'm glad you enjoyed it, because that was the main reason, really. Get you to watch.
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, me too. I mean, the only thing, I suppose, the only thing you would have to be careful about, I guess, is some of the more potentially offensive stereotype things for some people.
I think people can look through that. Although when you think it's only 1984, but it looks a lot older, doesn't it, because of it being filmed on film. Yeah, but
it's confusing as well, just because the whole historical anachronism. I don't think it even counts to call it anachronism, right? Because it's not like it's an accident. It's not as if they thought there was BMXs and breakdancing in. And the thing is, they don't give you the. This happens a lot with kung fu films in general. Actually, things are just set in olden times as opposed to a specific time period.
In my mind, I suppose I was thinking, oh well, maybe it's like rural China, and
in the 80s.
In the 80s, yeah. So they have BMX, but they also don't, you know, have cars. And still use carts and donkeys and whatnot.
Right. Interesting.
So I was doing the mental gymnastics for them.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, it totally doesn't. I mean, it's only when you get to thinking about it, hang on. But in the heat of it, you don't really question it, right? It's it happens in kung fu land.
Land. It's not a place.
Of course it is. Just like we have Monster Island off the coast of Japan, right? Where I used to think there was a Monster Island when I was a kid. Quite disappointed to find out there wasn't one.
There isn't.
I don't know. Of course there is. So the second film that I wanted you to watch, because I thought you would get a kick out of, was The Betrayal from 1966, which is actually a remake of a silent film called Orochi, or Serpent. Did you get a chance to watch the silent film?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Doesn't matter. It's fine. I watched it just because I hadn't seen it before, just to compare. So, yeah. So the original is a 1925 film starring this guy Tsumazaburo Bando, who was like a massive early film star, and the plot is, yeah, well, pretty close to the Betrayal, except the main character is slightly less sympathetic in the original silent version, a bit more incel like at moments, than the 60s one, but it follows it pretty closely, and also it's got some quite impressive like early, some of the camera work and long takes and tracking shots, and which are kind of comparable to when we get to it, the kind of the memorable final scene of this film, right? But yeah, so The Betrayal is a remix from 1966, directed by Tokuzo Tanaka, who was an AD for Kurosawa on Rashomon and was an AD for Mizoguchi and people like that. As a Daiei release starring Raizo Ichikawa, who famously died young. He's sometimes referred to as like the Japanese James Dean.
Right. Okay.
And shot in black and white. Score by Akira Ifukube, who is, of course, most famous for doing the original Godzilla theme, right?
Oh, okay.
And I really like the score. I like all his scores, actually, film scores. He has something, all composers, all great film composers seem to have, like, there's something that links all their scores, right? There's like a little,
okay, yeah.
And there's some element to his scores. I don't know, like the Godzilla one, for example, and he's one of the,
okay, yeah.
I was gonna say he's one of the few composers, like some of his scores can almost make me cry, or they have made me cry actually in the past. I'm not sure what it is, but there's something he uses, some tone or something is part of his repertoire that really cuts through with me for whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, if I'd have known it was the guy who did the Godzilla soundtrack, I would have listened out. I think it was there was definitely some tender parts in this film. It was an epic story, wasn't it? Really, and
yeah.
But again, I love this film. It's great.
Good.
Yeah. And I don't know, because the way that it was it's not very long.
No,
1 hour and 20 minutes or something. I can't remember, but it has an epic feel to it, and also just builds slowly to the climax, which is completely fulfilling, and
yes,
everything you could have wanted and more, to the extent that almost couldn't believe that I had to watched what I watched. Because I don't think, well, I don't want to give too much away, but when I was younger, I liked Young Guns.
Oh yes.
I don't know if there's some sort of lineage between these, or as in Young Guns, took the idea.
I can't remember. I haven't seen Young Guns since it was news, or I don't remember anything about it actually.
Well, it's Billy the Kid, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't remember like scenes from it. If there's any,
I think there's the final scene in Young Guns is really similar to the final scene in this.
Oh, really? Interesting.
It's completely impossible odds.
Uh-huh.
And anything. It really is quite similar, I think. But anyway, so I love that film when I was hmm?
I'm gonna have to watch Young Guns again now because just to make the
Yeah, I don't know whether I like it or not. That's watching it back. But I did, did watch it a fair bit. I think I had it on video. Sorry. But yeah, it's yeah. I don't want to go too much into it because if you can't really you don't want to spoil anything. But it is brilliantly done. And the other thing is, of course, that you don't see any bloodshed or anything like that, so you completely have to suspend disbelief in a willful way, which I quite enjoy doing as well.
I think if this was made like 5-10 years later, it would have had geezers of blood, right? Like a Lone Wolf and Cub film or something like that. Basically, it's a story of a samurai who's betrayed, really, as the title suggests, and it's kind of a bit of an anti samurai code or anti hypocrisy kind of take.
Yeah, it's a story about everyone fucking you over.
Yeah. He follows the correct code of loyalty.
Yeah.
It turns out the world doesn't, right? The world he inhabits doesn't. Yeah, and I don't think it's too much in the realm of spoil. I mean, you should go away and watch this film, really. It's not too much in the way of spoilers to say that yeah, the thing that this film is known for, people who know this film, is this kind of incredible extended 15-minute one man against the world final fight, right? Which is just yeah, extraordinary. I mean, I don't know, that must have taken a long time to film. Ichikawa Raizo must have, I mean, you can tell there's parts where he's not acting. I mean, he looks properly exhausted, right?
Yeah. I wonder if they went quite method and just tried to, keep it going and not. Also, it would have been very expensive to set up, so might have wanted to do it in one day.
Well, yeah, it's the continuity as well would be problematic if you did it for too long, right? If you dragged the film, because it's extraordinary. What's surprising about it for me is like how obviously there's always a certain suspension of disbelief that in these things that everyone just doesn't go pylon, at some point. But there's something about it's kind of quite believable. Like you're watching it and you're yeah, okay, I can see how he might. Yeah, there's like it's somehow it's really quite believable the way it plays out, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess that there's also the kind of the samurai sword being a very, very, very sharp object, and so to some extent they're a bit like a kind of scorpion or something. It's like you don't get too near and make a stupid mistake, which people repeatedly do.
Yeah.
So here's my charger.
Yeah. Damn it!
Mistimed. And then you're dead. Whereas I guess sort of fisticuff kung fu films, that tends to be a little bit less realistic because they're waiting to be like and then
I see what you mean. It's like it's more understandable why someone might be hedging their bets. But and they've got all sorts of things. You've got poles and boards and these little ladders and ropes and carts, and there's quite a variety in them trying to take. But what surprised, I mean, so the first time I saw this film, I think what I was most surprised at was after, because it does build, like you said, really well, and then when the climax happens, it's immensely satisfying, right? What surprised me was like other than people who particularly follow like old chambara or samurai or these sword play films, like why is this film not really famous? Like why
Yeah.
is it not really well known? I was like, this is awesome. There's few films with this sort of extended climax which is this impressive. So why isn't this like in more people's like top 10 lists of at least like
Yeah, well, alongside Seven Samurai or something.
yeah, I mean not maybe not quite it's not quite up there, but still, I mean, like you said, it's a bit of a like a mini epic, really, isn't it?
It is, but it's also just well, maybe it hasn't got the kind of, well, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it's not mysterious enough, and it's not, it's not got, and the story is straightforward and well told, but not, it's not got a lot of kind of sweeping shots of, and kind of mysterious or mysteriously subtle characters or something like that. But to me, the thing that really stood out was how you would like everybody fucked him over, and the more that kept happening and building, the more you were prepared and kind of primed to really want the outcome that you didn't actually know you wanted.
Right. Yeah.
So you wanted something like that, but they delivered it in full. And so in that sense, it's like an action film, but a very, very, very satisfying one. Whereas most action films are often not. That's why I kept, I talked about Young Guns, because it's exactly this. I just feel like they must have taken this the conceit.
Could be. I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember Young Ones well enough to recall like a
Young Ones or Young no, not or Young Guns. It's Young Guns.
yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't
You call
matter.
it Young Nuns.
Young Nuns, was it Young Nuns? Yeah, I think so.
The hilarious adventures.
Yeah.
They're not old enough to know what they're not doing or something. They're young nuns.
Okay. They found God, but they were too young.
It's never too young to pick up the habit. Young nuns.
There's a crazy nun with the sunglasses.
Right.
Yeah, I think it was. Hey, I'm just a young nun.
I'm just nunning over here. Anyway, we've gone off the rails a bit there.
Yeah, I like the idea though of that.
Young
nuns. Yeah, so yeah, yeah, I mean, because he makes friends with this thief, or rather, the thief makes friends with him. He's always, "Hey, buddy, are you?"
Yeah.
But you also get the kind of some of the like sense of a samurai being a kind of a chosen warrior or something, and being having this kind of weight of expectation about them and stuff like that, and being a weapon of choice and stuff. So all that's in there quite nicely.
Yeah. Interesting. I like as well films like this, and the comparison with so for instance, if you grew up watching spaghetti westerns and they have that very cynical take on the old west, it's sometimes a bit difficult to switch back and watch kind of more straight up cowboy films, right, which are a bit more good guy, bad guy. And I think with films like this as well, like I appreciate the cynical take on the kind of the code of the samurai and stuff like that. But after watching films like this, it's kind of difficult to watch something that actually takes that stuff more, like believes it, like has a less cynical take on these old
on the codes and
yeah.
It's also, I mean, so he gets
In
accused of
reality, there was so much corruption and people taking advantage of it, right, to get away with shit.
Yeah. Was just to say, he also like he's accused of killing one person, and from that moral outrage or whatever, so many people die, but they die under the code of revenge and counter revenge or whatever. So that's all moral justice or whatever. So it's all fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there's a whole lot of people dead by the end of this film, right? Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what the body count is, but it's
pretty
could
high.
be higher than Rambo.
Yeah. So it's interesting that, like I said, if you watched I do quite recommend watching the silent film Orochi, which you can find on YouTube actually. It's interesting for a number of ways. It's quite an interesting film. It holds up more than maybe a lot of other close to 100-year-old films do, because it does have a lot of kind of modern techniques. It's also quite interesting if you've never seen it before. The version that they have on YouTube is, so they used to have in the silent days, they had someone called a Benchi, who was like the person who narrated the film for people who might have been illiterate and wouldn't have been able to read the title cards. So they often had one person down the front, like doing all the voices for the whole film. It sounds quite exhausting. So the version of YouTube has a woman doing the whole story, and it's got subtitles for it as well. So so it's quite interesting to watch if you've never seen that before.
You can't see the woman.
You can't see them, no, you just hear her. But sometimes you can. They have at the National Film Theatre here, occasionally they have because obviously not many people have that skill anymore, but they do occasionally do benchy screenings where you can go and watch an old Japanese silent film and then someone will do it live. I've never been to see one, but it would be quite interesting to go and see. So I think they even have like someone doing the music, like someone with a piano or something, and then but also it's a pretty good film, and it's interesting. Like I said, they really tidied up the you're really on the protagonist's side in the betrayal, where as in the original version, which is kind of interesting in itself, you kind of a little bit wonder if he isn't a bit of a psychopath who's brought this on himself a little bit. He's not nowhere near as sympathetic as the character in the betrayal. Oh, Robin seems to have either he's sitting really still, which is quite impressive, or we've lost him. So any more to say about the betrayal?
No, I don't think so. Just a very enjoyable film, and again, another one I would recommend. Thank you very much for suggesting that. And also, I mean, looking on IMDb from the people that were in it, it's kind of a nice rabbit hole to go down through all sorts of films I haven't seen.
Right.
Talking about 100 Monsters or whatever it's called. There's a lot of supernatural and kind of ghostly. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting films that are starring those people. The people that were in the betrayal.
Well, TAI as well. The studio did do quite a few there's like a series of 3 of those yokai films, 100 Monsters being the first one. And TAI as well did the I don't know if you've ever seen the Daimajin films, which are kind of like, I suppose they're kind of like a mixture of like Godzilla and the Golem. This huge kind of statue that comes to life when the people are oppressed. Those are really good. The Daimajin films as well. Actually, if you go to TAI Studios to this day, they have a Majin statue in the front.
Okay, have you been there? Have you?
Yeah, I've been there a few times for various jobs because it's
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And they've got a Gamera cafe as well, which I've never been. It never seems to be open, but there's one there. So that's a good double bill for you, or a triple bill. If you fancy watching Orochi as well.
I will watch that. Yeah, I will. Yeah, but yeah, it was brilliant.
Thank you very much, Robin, for filling in.
Okay.
And, maybe next time Ron will be back or not. I'm not sure. He's quite busy at the moment. Maybe it'll be Robin again. You never know. Right. That's about it, I think. So
Bye.
What more is tonight?